All right, the purpose of this video is to make sure you're entirely clear on what I'm asking you to do over July. First of all, congratulations, you're seniors. You've done it. So I know that we need a break. I know it's been a crazy school year, so let's look at what's required and what's optional. First of all, required activity is a rework. Reworks are always required after any assessment because doing an assessment, going back through the questions, making sure you understand each one, that really is the best way to improve in the IB. I don't have any better techniques than truly working through each problem again and again and again until it makes sense. So a rework is required. All that information is on Google Classroom. There's videos for you there. Pretty standard, like we've done all year. Your second task is to make sure you're ready to go with your IA. You do not need to do data collection. If you're doing a database IA and you'd like to start data collection, you can. That's not a requirement. If you're doing an experimental IA, I would ask that you do not start data collection because we just have not really talked about it enough for that to be useful. So if you do want to get ahead with a database IA, you can start making graphs. Even though you don't have data, you can get the graph set up with titles and error bars and do as much as you can on the graphs and leaving space for where you'll add data. This is optional. The only thing that's required is that you've responded to your comments. I'm hoping that you come back in August ready to collect data. That is my expectation. All right, so hopefully you did this or almost all of it in that session we had on the IA the last week of school. The rework, I would expect that the rework should take about an hour or two on average. It's going to depend on how you did on the final. For some people got a 7 and they only lost a couple points, so it's not going to take them very long. Some people will need to rework more problems and it might take longer. So on average, about 1 to 2 hours, depending on how you did on the final. So the only thing I'm requiring over July break is about 1 to 2 hours of work. I know that there's a lot to do over July. I know you need a break. And so sometime between now and when we meet again, you can devote an hour or two to chemistry. Now, some of you are feeling like, my grade isn't exactly where I want it to be, and I should do some review over July to get ahead. That's going to make me feel less stressed if I'm feeling better on the topics that we've covered so far. Great. So you have lots of options, redoing old homeworks, old tests, all of that, just getting practice and repetition, as always, is my suggestion. I also have this document for you. So my recommendation with how you should use this document, I have all of the topics that we've covered here. My recommendation would be to use this to either create a study guide or add to a study guide. What do I mean by that? Your study guide might look something like this. Okay, topic 2, atomic structure. And this is a hyperlink for you, so you can just click on it. It brings you to atomic structure. I have here, this is not everything you need to know for atomic structure, needless to say. But these are big conceptual questions that I still see people a little bit confused on. So this is a good place to start making a study guide or to add to your study guide. So I see, mass spec, that's a big picture question that people are still feeling confused about. Okay, how is it used? I'm going to start looking at isotopes. I'm going to think about relative abundance. I'm going to think about relative atomic mass. All right, and then I'm going to try to put these ideas together. Okay, relative atomic mass we find by looking at the relative abundance of each isotope. Cool. I can put the formula here of the relative abundance times the mass number and the sum of all the isotopes. MZ ratio, I can define that for myself here. I can maybe draw a sample mass spec. So I've used this question to get started making a study guide with all of the information I know around mass spec. So again, this is not an exhaustive list. This is not every single thing that you need to know in atomic structure, but it can help you get started and structure a study guide. Or if you already have study guides from each topic, which I think is great, it can help you figure out where you might have holes in your study guide, what you can add to. You should be able to answer these questions cold. These are big picture concepts from the unit that you should understand. You should have an enduring understanding of moving forward. So, in addition to all of the other things that you have from this year, this is another document to help you really focus on the biggest and most confusing points from each of these topics. So this is my recommendation. Some people want to get ahead and move forward. In my email to you, I've outlined the topics that we have not covered yet. You're always welcome to read ahead in Cognity. But I think the best use of your time over break is going to be to continue reviewing what we've already done and make sure that you're staying fresh on the content that we've covered and filling in any holes you have from the course of this year. All right, I hope that helps a lot. I miss you all. Have a good day.